Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Revenge Emmy, where we dive into stories of truth, betrayal, and the kind of courage that changes everything. I'm your host, and today we're stepping into a world where a simple room for rent sign didn't just bring in a tenant, it unraveled a billionaire's empire and built a family from the ashes. This is the story of Ethan Cole, a single dad scraping by, and Anna Voss, the young woman whose secrets turned a cramped apartment into the stage for justice. Buckle up, because this one's got twists that'll leave you speechless. Ethan Cole was 37, the kind of guy who fixed leaky faucets by day and hauled packages by night. His life was a treadmill of bills, late shifts, and the quiet weight of raising his 8-year-old daughter, Mia, alone. 2 years ago, his wife, Hannah, passed from heart complications, leaving behind a pile of medical bills that drained their savings faster than Ethan could blink. The funeral costs took the rest, like a punch to an already bruised man. Their small apartment in a tired corner of the city was all they had left, and even that was slipping through his fingers. Rent was late. Mia's school supplies were a luxury. So, Ethan did what he had to. He taped a handwritten "Room for Rent" sign to his door. $200 a month, just enough to keep the lights on and maybe buy Mia the kind of cereal she used to beg for.
Enter Anna. She showed up on a Tuesday afternoon, 20 years old, dressed in plain clothes that didn't scream money, but didn't scream broke either. No designer bags, no attitude, just a quiet girl with brown eyes and cash in hand. "I'm studying art," she said, her voice steady but soft. "I need somewhere peaceful to work." Ethan didn't ask too many questions. She had the money, and Mia took to her like a moth to a flame. Within a week, Anna was folding paper cranes with Mia at the kitchen table, helping with math homework, and laughing in a way that made their dingy apartment feel a little less like a dead end. She was perfect. Too perfect.
But Ethan wasn't blind. He started noticing things. Anna paid her rent in crisp $100 bills, always exact change. The fridge mysteriously stayed stocked with groceries Ethan couldn't afford, organic fruit, fancy yogurt, the kind of stuff you don't buy on a college budget. Her backpack was leather, the kind that doesn't stain when juice spills on it. And then there was the bracelet. Silver, simple, but with a logo etched into it that made Ethan's stomach drop. Voss Holdings. The same corporate giant that had restructured him out of his warehouse supervisor job 18 months ago. No severance, no warning, just a form letter and a security guard escorting him out with a cardboard box. That layoff hadn't just cost him his job, it cost him the insurance that could have saved Hannah's life. Ethan tried to shake it off. Anna was good to Mia, made her laugh, taught her origami patterns Hannah used to love. But the bracelet gnawed at him. So did the way Anna stared at her phone sometimes, like she was waiting for a bomb to go off. And then there was the laptop. She'd asked to use his old one, claiming hers had crashed. "College budget," she'd said with a smile. But Ethan wasn't buying it. Her art supplies were top shelf, her clothes too well made for someone scraping by. One night, taking out the trash, he caught a glimpse of her through the kitchen window. She wasn't browsing or sketching. She was sliding a red USB drive into his laptop, labeled in neat handwriting, Project Raven Lake. Do not disclose. When she saw him, she snapped the laptop shut and offered tea, her smile as warm as ever. But Ethan saw the truth in her eyes. Anna wasn't just a tenant. She was hiding something big. The neighbors had started talking. Mrs. Chen from 2B dropped hints about inappropriate arrangements. Dave, Ethan's buddy from the delivery job, was blunter. "Dude, a college girl living with you? What's Mia gonna think?" The whispers followed Ethan everywhere. Grocery store, gas station, parent-teacher conferences, single dad, young female tenant. The math looked wrong to anyone who wanted to judge. But Ethan didn't care about their gossip. He cared about Mia, asleep upstairs, trusting a girl who might be lying about everything. And he cared about that USB drive. What was Project Raven Lake? Why was Anna, with her Voss Holdings bracelet, hiding it in his apartment? That night, after Mia was asleep, Ethan made a choice. He wasn't going to wait for answers to come to him. He needed to know who Anna really was. When she knocked on his bedroom door later, her face pale and her hand shaking, he knew the truth was coming whether he was ready or not. "Can we talk?" she asked, sitting on the edge of his bed, looking younger than her 20 years. And then she said the words that turned his world upside down. "My name is Anna Voss. My father owns Voss Holdings." Ethan's breath caught. The daughter of the man who destroyed his life was sleeping under his roof, folding paper cranes with his daughter. "I know what his company did to you," Anna said, tears streaming down her face. "The layoffs, the timing, everything. I found your name in the employment records, Hannah Cole, listed as your emergency contact, and then I found her death certificate." Ethan's hands clenched into fists. "You investigated me?" he asked, voice low. "I investigated my father's company," she corrected. "You were just collateral damage I discovered along the way." She pulled out the red USB drive, the one Ethan had seen her hide. "This is proof," she said. Proof that Project Raven Lake wasn't just corporate downsizing. It was deliberate contamination of the water supply to drive down property values for a real estate grab. 17 people died from the poisoned water. The layoffs were covered to silence anyone who might talk. Ethan's world tilted. "Hannah didn't just die because I lost my job," he said slowly. "She died because your father poisoned her." Anna nodded, her face ashen. "Yes, and now they know I have this. They know I'm here, and they know about you and Mia." At 9:47 p.m., the knock came. Not a neighbor's tap, but the kind of knock that demanded obedience. Through the door, a voice called, "Mr. Cole, we'd like to speak with you about your tenant." Ethan's eyes locked on Anna, who was clutching the USB drive like it was her lifeline. Outside, a black SUV idled across the street, and 3 men in tailored suits stood on his doorstep. The leader, silver-haired and commanding, had eyes that cut through Ethan like he was nothing. "Anna," the man said, his voice cold as steel, "it's time to come home." Anna stepped into the hallway, her chin raised. "I am home," she said. The man, Richard Voss, her father, laughed, a sound that dripped with disdain. This is what you call home? A cramped rental with a maintenance worker?" But Anna wasn't backing down. She turned to the growing crowd of neighbors, drawn by the sleek cars and the drama unfolding in their hallway. "My name is Anna Voss," she declared, her voice carrying clear and strong. "My father is Richard Voss, CEO of Voss Holdings, and I stole classified documents proving his company murdered 17 people." The words hit like a grenade. Mrs. Chen gasped. Dave whistled low. Richard's composure cracked, just for a second. "You have no proof," he said, but his eyes were searching the apartment, hunting for that red USB drive. "Actually, I do," Anna shot back. And then she did something brilliant. She turned the crowd into witnesses. "Hannah Cole," she said, listing the names of the 17 victims. "Maria Santos, David Kim, James Patterson. 17 people died from contaminated water my father's company dumped to manipulate property values." Phones came out, neighbors recording, their murmurs growing louder. Richard's control was slipping, and he knew it. Richard tried to shut it down. "Everyone, go back inside," one of his men barked. "This is a private family matter." But Mrs. Chen wasn't having it. "She just said you killed 17 people. That ain't private." Dave stepped up, his delivery uniform giving him an unexpected air of authority. "If what she's saying is true, we got a right to know. Some of us drink that water." The crowd swelled, more neighbors spilling out, phones raised, capturing every word. Richard's face flushed with rage. "Anna, get in the car," he ordered. But she stood her ground, pulling out the handwritten rental receipt Ethan had given her. "This is my legal residence," she said, "and this man has been more of a father to me in 3 weeks than you've been in 20 years. Ethan spoke up, his voice quiet but steady. "This nobody knows exactly who you are, Richard Voss." He held up his phone, showing the recording app running. "And so does she," he said, nodding to Mrs. Chen, whose tablet was filming. "And him," he added, pointing to Dave. Within seconds, a dozen phones were out, red lights blinking. Richard sputtered about privilege and privacy, but Anna cut him off. "Family privacy laws don't apply to confessions of murder," she said, "especially not in public."
Then a small voice broke through. "Daddy, what's happening?" Mia stood at the top of the stairs, clutching a paper crane, her pajamas wrinkled from sleep. Richard froze, the sight of her innocence cracking something in him. Anna's voice softened. "Please, just let me stay. Let me do the right thing, for once." Richard looked at the cameras, the neighbors, the evidence of his empire crumbling. "This isn't over," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Yes, it is," Anna replied, "because tomorrow I'm walking into the FBI with everything I have." As Richard and his men retreated, Anna collapsed against Ethan, sobbing. "I'm so sorry I brought this to your family," she whispered. Ethan looked at Mia, still holding her paper crane, still trusting him to keep her safe. "You didn't bring this to my family," he said. "You became part of my family, and family protects each other." By morning, the world was different. The neighbors' videos went viral, the headlines screaming across every platform. "Billionaire's daughter exposes father's murder cover-up while living with single dad." Richard Voss's meltdown, captured from a dozen angles, was a media firestorm. Ethan's phone rang off the hook. CNN, NBC, podcasters, filmmakers, all wanting the ordinary hero who protected a whistleblower. He declined every interview. "Daddy, Anderson Cooper called again," Mia said over breakfast, folding a paper crane from the morning paper. "What did you tell him?" Ethan asked. "That we don't need to be famous," she said. "We just need Anna to be safe." Smart kid. Too smart for 8. The FBI arrived before noon, not to arrest, but to collect Anna's evidence. The USB drive held 3 years of damning records. Emails, financials, engineering reports proving Project Raven Lake was deliberate environmental terrorism. Agent Sarah Martinez laid it out plain. "This is the most comprehensive corporate murder case we've seen in 20 years. Voss Holdings' stock crashed by midday. Richard was arrested at 6 a.m. the next day, led out in handcuffs while helicopters buzzed overhead. The charges piled up. 17 counts of negligent homicide, conspiracy, obstruction, racketeering. Each carried a life sentence. The real justice was quieter. The families of the 17 victims, including Ethan and Mia, were prioritized in a class action lawsuit. The settlement numbers started with 10 figures. Ethan wouldn't need double shifts anymore. Mia could go to the best schools, have the best health care. All because a billionaire's daughter chose a $200 room and the truth over her father's empire. 3 months later, Anna took the stand as the prosecution's key witness. In a simple business suit, she faced her father, now in an orange jumpsuit, and spoke clearly. "My father taught me power means never facing consequences. But living with Ethan and Mia taught me real power is doing what's right, even when it costs everything." The jury convicted Richard on all charges, life without parole. At a City Hall press conference a year later, Anna stood beside the mayor, announcing the Richard Voss Memorial Clean Water Initiative. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She didn't give a grand speech about justice. Instead, she placed 3 objects on the podium. A wooden key Mia carved, labeled Home. The handwritten rental receipt, now framed. And a paper crane folded from the newspaper, announcing her father's conviction. The crowd understood. A photographer caught the moment, and the image went viral with the caption, "The room she rented saved lives." Back at the apartment, the room for rent sign was gone, replaced by a plaque, "Cole Voss family." "Are we really keeping my last name?" Anna asked, grinning as Ethan unlocked the door with Mia's wooden key. "Family isn't about names," he said. "It's about choosing to stay when staying gets hard." Mia ran to the kitchen table, where paper cranes hung from the ceiling, each one a promise from their darkest days. The $200 room wasn't just a rental, it was where a family was born, where truth beat power, and where love outlasted everything else. Folks, that's the story of Ethan, Anna, and Mia, a family forged not by blood, but by courage and choice. Did Anna's stand in the hallway hit you hardest, or was it the moment she placed that paper crane on the podium? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk about it. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for Revenge Amy. We've got more stories of justice and redemption coming your way. What secrets do you think are hiding in the rooms we rent out in life? Comment below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay true, stay bold, and never stop fighting for what's right.